Christian.
And I'm the world. Whoa, hold the phones. What did you just say?
I'm a Christian.
No, I'm the Christian, you're the world. That's how it works.
No,
okay?
I became a Christian.
What? No, you didn't. No.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
No, I'm a Christian. We're on the same side now.
Okay, no, we're not. We are not on the same side, okay? You're over there on the world side, and here I am, okay? I don't think we're invited to the same party, okay?
No, I changed. I've changed.
Okay, you. I see what you're doing here. You're a funny guy. You do this all the time to me. You. God bless you. Okay, I'm just saying that you're a funny liar is what you are, and you're going straight to hell as if you weren't going there already. You non-believer, you.
No, that was the old me.
Ha! The old me. Ha! Listen to me, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's all I'm saying. I saw you sitting not 5 minutes ago right on over there, and that's what you do because you're a flame-broiled heathen.
It's kind of harsh, isn't it?
Well, I just calling you that because that's what you are. Can't call goat a sheep, can you? Can you?
No. Apparently you can.
Ha! I don't even like animals.
Well, good morning. What you just saw was a play by the Skit Boys on the sheep and the goats. So again, I'm excited to bring this vlog. This is the third Tuesday of the month, and we want to talk about another parable. Now, as you have seen in some of the literature that I've sent out to you, that we're going to be moving to a new platform, and that will be Reverse Bible Study. You would see a link on this video that points you to solicit or elicit questions from you that we would like to answer. We don't want to assume that we know the questions that people are asking. So on Reverse Bible Study, we are asking you to submit questions, and we will attempt in 20 minutes to deal with maybe 2 or 3 of those questions. Today we want to deal with the parable, and most people don't look at this as a parable. It's the second coming of Christ, which is found in Matthew 25, and it's the parable of the sheep and the goats. Who are the sheep and who are the goats? Basically. So Christ says, when I come back, and it is the only place in the Bible that states how Christ will judge the world when he comes back. He says, when I come back, I will separate people. I will put some folks on my right, and I will put some folks on my left. And we, over the years, in Sunday school, we have heard about this, and we are saying you're a sheep, you're a goat. But I want to bring your attention to this parable in the sense that I see a close correlation between Matthew 25. This is found in Matthew 25, verses 31 and 46, that talks about when the king will say to those on his right, "Come ye, who are blessed of my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world." Now listen to this. "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." Let's go back to Luke's Gospel, chapter 4, and verses 17 through 21. The first opportunity that Jesus had to declare himself as the Messiah is found in Luke's Gospel, chapter 4, 17 through 21. He took the scroll in that temple, this young man in the temple, and everyone is hearing about John the Baptist, and now John the Baptist's own ministry is being eclipsed by Jesus. John himself said, "I must decrease so that he will increase." And here Jesus, for the first time, is speaking in public. And he uses the passage from Isaiah 63. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to preach the gospel. But notice that Jesus begins to point out I'm come to visit those that are in prison. I've come to give sight to the blind. One of the things that in church today, we seem to spiritualize everything, and we don't really appreciate the fact that there is a physical application of the gospel. So Jesus in Matthew 25 says this, when I come back, I will separate the sheep from the goats. Let me ask you, are you a sheep or are you a goat? It's a question that we must all face. And this parable clearly comes to us in such a fashion that it says that in this world there are sheep and the goats. So Jesus separates them. On his right hand, there's the sheep. On the left hand, there is the goat. And the question was asked of Jesus, well, when did I see you hungry and I didn't feed you? When did I see you thirsty and I didn't give you drink? When did I see you naked and I didn't clothe you? When did I see you imprisoned and I didn't liberate or try to liberate or even visit you while you were in prison? And Jesus said something. Because you have not done this to the least of these my brethren, you have not done it unto me. So, brothers and sisters, so this parable then is a parable of three people. It's a parable of the sheep, it's a parable of the goats, and it's a parable of the least of these. Let's talk about who are the least of these. Who are the least of these, my brethren? And this is what Jesus says. You have forsaken to do good. Now, let's make this clear. Salvation is not by works. Salvation is by the grace of God. We are saved by God's grace. The blood of Jesus Christ is all about the effectuating of the grace of God in our lives. And so we are saved by grace. So we want to make that clear. We are saved by grace. However, because we are saved by grace, and I've said this over and over again, because we are saved by grace, then we are called to do good to those, the brethren and the sisterin. We are called to be servants. We are not called to be served, but we are called to serve. So therefore, becoming a goat or becoming a sheep is not because of our works, but is the result of our works. Let me make sure we understand that. God requires us to be the visitor in prison, and God requires of us to feed the hungry and to clothe the naked. This is critically important in the life of Jesus. We see that constantly what Jesus did was Jesus made sure that he became all, as Paul says, he became all things to all people. If the judgment of God is based upon how we treat those who are the least of these, then this is something we must pay attention to. Who are the least of these in our society? The least of these in our society are those who are neglected, those who are marginalized, those who are underserved, those who, for whatever reason, have found themselves in difficult situations. Now, there is something else that I notice about the least of these. He says, because you have not done this to the least of these, my brethren, which is generic, of course, to mean women and men. But this is critically important, seasoned saints, because very often we forget that those within the fold are also in need. Because you have not done this to the least of these, my brethren, generically, you have not done it unto me. So let me recap by saying we talk about the grace of God that has visited us. I have said often that grace always comes to us on its way to somebody else. When God blesses us so that we can become a blessing to somebody else. Grace has no return address. So often in our Christian life, we feel that we ought to be rewarded because of what we do. But grace has no return address. When we are showered with the grace of God, God expects us to be the vessel through which that grace must flow to somebody else. I encourage you to live a Christian life according to this parable. We are we are not scared of the judgment. We don't fear the judgment. We look forward to the judgment of God. We look forward to the second coming of Jesus Christ, and surely Jesus Christ will come. But we want to make sure that when Jesus Christ comes again, that we are not found wanting. We are not found to be the persons that have not sought out the opportunities to be good to our brothers and our sisters within the fold and without the fold. We have an obligation. We have an obligation because we have been the recipients of God's grace. We have an obligation to care for others. We love because Christ loved us. We love because in spite of who we are, this God, I often hear people say, so the old folks used to say, if I were the last person living on earth, Jesus Christ would have gone to the cross. And when we understand that, when we understand the meaning of the cross in our lives, the meaning of salvation that we have received, we can do no less than to seek out. I'm so glad that we are a church. Today we will be distributing food, and we have done this for the past year. Week after week, we have become the Christ in the presence of the community, and this is what God expects of us. That as a Christian people, as a people who have been called out, the ecclesia, the church, I say constantly, church is not a noun. Church is a verb. Church is what we do. And what we do is that we extend the grace of God into the community. We extend the grace of God unto those who are less fortunate. When the Bible says that the gates of hell shall not prevail against the church, we ought to remember this. Gates don't move. It is not that the gates will come against the church, but the church needs to go out into the community. The church needs to go into the prisons. The church needs to go among those who are marginalized and underserved, those who are neglected. That's the call of the calling of the church. That's what God expects us to be and to do. So, brothers and sisters, I encourage you, seek out ways in which we can be, and that's why we talk about epics, experienced persons in Christian service. God has called us to serve. We are never too old to serve. We are never too old to be the vessel through which the grace of God can flow onto those who are marginalized, those who are less fortunate than we are. I'm so glad that God has called us, and those of us in our older years, We need to find opportunities in which we can be a blessing unto others. We can be mentors to others. May I remind you that on the 11th of December, we will be having our senior prom, our senior banquet at 5 o'clock on the 11th of December. As part of that, we will also be having the essay writing contest in which we are encouraging children 12 and under to submit essays to us as to why their grandmother or grandfather should be grandparent of the year. We're going to have prizes. It's going to be a great affair. You're going to be hearing a lot more about this. And we feel that we need to get together. And COVID has been so antithetical to who we are as a people of God. We love to gather, we love to get together. And I hope that as we observe the social distancing and all that CDC and other health agencies have told us to do, we will do that. But on December 11th, we will have the senior banquet or the senior prom. We will celebrate the grandfather and the grandmother of the year. You will find in this communication a way in which you can submit your questions for the reverse Bible study that begins on next week. Listen, it has been my privilege. I enjoy coming to you on the first and the third Tuesdays of the month. I trust that God is blessing you in a very special way. I love you. On behalf of the pastor, Dr. Oscar D. Epps, God bless you, and you have a great day.